Okay, here we go. 3-minute videos, number 3. 3-minute animals, number 3. You will hear my son Brian in the background yelling from time to time. He's off in his corner, melting his little corner of the world, I guess you could say. Trying to work on a walrus, did you say?
Yep.
Well, it's in the midst of where it's done, where by the time I finish this stuff, we'll let people see what it looks like. How's that sound? Okay?
That sounds good, Dad.
Okay.
That sounds
Now,
good.
first of all, we're going to do, a seahorse. And again, these are all 3-minute animals, or close to a 3-minute mark. So
Yeah,
let's see what we can do, folks. Of course, when you want the flame to kick in, what you're going to do, fight you, tooth and nail. Now, I could use clear just to go that route, but at this point I'm also going to go ahead and use some colored glass because I have it available, and it will just bring out the prominence of this piece a whole lot better in the long run. And these are fairly simple to do. I say that from my point of view, but you're going to need close to, I'd say about an inch and a half of glass, and you heat up the first half or quarter of an inch, and this is going to be the tail part of your seahorse. And what you do is you sort of stretch it around, bend a right angle bend, and then heat it up, and then curve, keep curving, and there you go. That's going to be the tail to this seahorse. Actually, we'll bend it a little bit more. And now I'm going to add some color for the dots down the back of the, they go all the way, top to bottom. Almost side to side too, but we won't go there. Okay. Now the next step to this, start to do the middle. And what you do here in the middle is you make a very longer little bump, and you will come back and put some detail in it later. You'll see what I'm talking about after a little bit, okay? Now that's the back tail or back fin to this thing. And now I'm going to do a cold weld down here at the one of the bunts on the tail here. And now we're going to work on the top half of this guy. And the top half is basically the same thing as bottom half. You do the same type of curling, bend and curl, like so. And heat it up and curve it just enough. And then you can sort of bend it back. You know, just play with it until you're happy with where the actual head is, okay? Now, the Seahorse Head is an extra long ice cream cone shape that I keep telling you about. There you go. Got it. And now you can curve it down a little bit. Maybe that's a little bit too long, but that'll, matter of fact, I'll take some of it off. There we go. There you go. Now the same type of dots going up the back.
Swan.
What's the matter?
I was just gonna sit down for a break, and then I realized my chair was there, so I almost sat down on air.
There you go.
You know those moments.
Yeah. Well, at least you thought about it to where we moved the chair, but you can move the chair back now.
I don't know how.
I'll get there in a minute. Actually, after this show, I guess. Now the eyes, I usually make a longer stalk, and then just sort of let them round in, and it becomes the those eyes that they have, those extra long stuff of an eye. You make them nice and thin or long, and then just let it round into itself. And it makes a nice round stock. Okay, now one last thing to this guy, and that is the stem, or the bail or loop, or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to put it, I forgot two other things. One more thing. Now, going back to this one, why I did the extra long, of course, graceful me.
All right, graceful.
Why I did the extra long bump, and now I come back to it, is when you're doing the bumps on the top and the bottom, it's hard to put these little extra fins on there when you're putting the extra bump, those smaller bumps on there. This is something you got to do after the fact. It's like you can't put the car seats in well after the doors and everything is welded in. Well, you can, but it's a lot harder. Same idea. Okay, now the bail. Again, a nice. I'm going to do this with the new hole punch system, or the buttonhole punch system that I've been using lately, and it's working out really well for me. Okay. Heat it up nice and round into the ball, and then you go to the center and press. Hold it for a little bit, and then you work it back and forth, and it punches through. You'll feel it. And now of course. Always when I want it to work just a little bit more, and I'm reaming this out a little bit, making the hole. Okay, let's use this. I should have done that the first time.
Put it on something that can burn. I think smells.
There we go. Now I can do it without the problem. There we go. I'm going to leave that. And we got a nice little bail going on. And that one is basically ready for the oven. Next one. My son came up with one, and I'm only going to do 3 on this show. And we'll do some more later on, but my son came up with a snake.
Oh yeah.
And those are fairly simple. You can do them, well, the one I'm going to do is basically a Cobra. And you'll see that it has that Cobra effect, and it's going to be a jade green Cobra. That's all there is, all I can say there. Next.
Oh, let's connect it for a second.
Okay. Now this is going to be up here at the very end. Here is going to be the head. And what I'm going to do is basically bring off the side fins with a fold and pull method, or the side flare, you know, the flares that they have on the side of their head, like so. Fold and pull, and I'll flatten it out a little bit better. It can work out that way, but this is going to work out too, I mean. Okay. Now I also make sure the head has a little bit more of a prominent face, or prominent head. Just a little bit, not much.
Oh, come on.
Point it. Then bring it down a little bit. Because you know how those snakes are, they have that There we go. It's basically heating it up and bending it to the right space at the right time. I'm going to do a cold weld at the top of this head and work the rest of them. Let's see, using the same basic green again that I used for the body of the seahorse, the bumps on the seahorse. Gives it some nice eyes. Almost there. Now a cold weld on the top of this head. I think I'm going to go ahead and afterwards make this cold weld into a bale. It'll work out for it, I believe. So
remember, all his work is for sale.
Yeah, my son makes me realize I forget to tell you guys, any of this stuff, if you are interested in, please give me a call.
Or at least contact me.
Also, subscribe, like, comment. If you want to see if I can make you a 3-minute animal, we'll work that out too.
Request 3-minute animals.
We can do that too. Now, here we go, the bottom half of this guy. He's fairly simple. You just finished following the snake. I usually do him a little bit forward, but since I'm making this to hang, I'm going to actually just do a couple of S curves back and forth so that it'll hang on a pendant situation going on. Okay, and oh yeah, that's going to look good. Now I'm going to hold on to this end here and go ahead and finish off the bail, because it's about ready in time for that. Getting the hole punch. About center it. Hold on to it for a second, let it start to solidify, and then just wobble it back and forth, and you'll hear it sort of punch through. It's kind of like a little light crunch noise.
To me it sounds like breaking glass.
And then you heat it up again and you start reaming out the hole just slightly. Now you can make it up and down and then put a graphite point to it to ream it out even better. Like so, but this is, I'm going to leave it. No. There we go. And that one's ready. Seahorse. Snake, and I'm going to do a swan real quick, a clear glass swan, okay? Now, the swan, oh, speaking of which, you know and I know that I have them available, but I don't have, oh, here it is, duh.
Right there.
It helps to have a graphite pad to press the base down onto so that you got something to show what you're doing.
It also absorbs any faster.
Now that too, but that's the first one. Okay, now the swan, there's several ways of doing this, but I'm going to do some with wings. And actually I could even, here we go. Make a round ball. And this is sort of like the cinnamon roll type, thin and narrow, but big and round at the same time. Let it roll in just a little bit more. What I'm doing is I'm heating up just one side in the same spot, and it's rolling into that general direction. Okay, this is the main body of the swan. And where I've got my fingers over here on the left side will be the front of the swan. Matter of fact, this swan is going to be so simple, I'm not even going to put wings on it. That's just my deal here. Now, you elongate it a little bit and get that, you know, that almost teardrop or eye-shaped pattern going on. See there? And that's the body of the swan. Now I'm going to press down and make the base for the swan here. And that's where it's going to stand. And now the front end I'm just going to heat up. In this case, I'm going to pull it upwards of the direction of the Swan, but I'm actually, to make a nice straighter line, let gravity work with you and pull downward here like this. And then curve it forward. And let it round in for the nose or the head. Okay, you need to straighten out the neck slightly. Since I do these all the time, if I was doing them, they'd come out a lot more. Okay, then we got, he just turned off his oxygen concentrator that he's been using. And the beak is just, basically you pull down like that, and then you just pull forward. And that makes a nice little swan beak. Okay, now I'm going to pull it off here on the back. And make sure, I'm going to heat up the bottom again one more time and make sure it's going to sit well and in the right direction. That needs a little bit of TLC. Basically heat it up in the right spot and press. And there you go. And you got one glass Swan. And now for the again, we're going to take off all of this stuff, turn this off. Okay.
Ouch.
And, yeah, ouch. And of course, I'm not going to touch the Swan because, you know, it's still warm. Actually, the snake is a little still warm too. And then we've got the seahorse. Brian, come on.
Sorry.
The seahorse is nice and cool at the moment, but everything's ready to go into the... and there we got those three. Thank you very much for your time and effort. And if you have any questions, comments, or requests, give me a holler.
Enjoy your day. Carpe Vitro.
Enjoy your day. Carpe Vitro.